Okay guys, so I thought my very last day in Mexico would be the perfect time to tell you guys what I believe the problem with Tulum, Mexico is. You're gonna see a lot of videos on YouTube, including my own videos, that are telling everyone to visit Tulum, Mexico right now. You're gonna see it all over Facebook, all over Instagram, all of these news articles. Everyone is talking about Tulum, Mexico right now. Why is Tulum so hot? Why is everybody going there? Is there nothing that this little slice of paradise doesn't have? Well, I'm here to tell you that there are a lot of problems with Tulum, Mexico, and after living there for 2.5 months, I'm going to share those problems with you right now. That said, in the interest of fairness, at the exact same time that I upload this video, I'm also going to upload a video on why I love Tulum and why you guys will love Tulum and why everybody loves Tulum. So this video is all about why I really dislike Tulum and the problems with Tulum, and the other video that I've uploaded at the exact same time is why people love Tulum. So be sure to check that one out after you watch this one. Okay, my number one problem with Tulum are the prices. Tulum has to be one of the most expensive places in all of Mexico. In fact, it probably is the most expensive place in all of Mexico. But it's not just expensive by Mexico standards. Honestly, it's expensive by any standards. Like, you know, I've traveled to Iceland, I've been to Norway, I've been to some really expensive countries. I've traveled around Switzerland, and some of the prices in Tulum would make your brain explode. Like, it's crazy. It is absolutely insane. One of my friends tried to book a beach club on the beach road in Tulum for New Year's Eve, which obviously is a special night, and of course it's going to be a little bit more expensive. And when they called up to confirm for the people that were going to this beach club, he was told that would be $550 per person just to enter and get a seat at this beach club on New Year's Eve. So no free drinks, no like crazy table service, nothing included, just $550 per person. This same friend also went to some bar where he got charged. He ordered 4 shots of tequila, and they obviously brought him some crazy expensive type of tequila. There's really not that many expensive tequilas in Mexico, because tequila is like one of the cheapest drinks you can get here. It's like water. And he got his bill, and it was $200 for 4 shots of tequila. So this is what I mean about Tulum being a total ripoff. Things are really, really expensive in Tulum, especially along the beach road. In Tulum town, it's not so bad, but that's for my other video. Now, if we're talking about prices, let's talk about the taxis. The taxis in Tulum, it's kind of like a mafia, like we call it the taxi mafia. No Uber is allowed, no rideshare, no Lyft. None of these ride-sharing apps are allowed in Tulum. It's just the taxis that operate there, and they charge a lot of money. Now, in the daytime, you might be able to get to the beach for quite cheap, maybe 150 pesos, so about $7 or $8. But if you decide to go to the beach at nighttime, or if you're already on the beach road at nighttime and you're going back to Tulum town, which is where everybody lives, everyone in Tulum lives pretty much in Tulum town. If you're living there and you just go to the beach maybe at nighttime, you could pay up to 500 pesos, which is about $25 just to get home from the beach at nighttime. That is crazy. Let's talk about rent in Tulum. I have a whole video about this. I'm going to link to it up here if you want to check it out, all about how expensive is Tulum, how I moved to Mexico and stuff like that. But rent in Tulum is currently outrageous. I don't know if it's always like this, but right now, if you want to look up Airbnb and look at the prices, you're talking $2,000-3,000 to rent an apartment in Tulum right now. $2,000 or $3,000, that's like San Francisco or New York City prices. But in Mexico, it doesn't make any sense. And this isn't even on the beach. This is in town or in Zama. You know, these prices, they shouldn't exist. But so many people are coming here and willing to pay them that obviously the people that own these apartments are putting the prices up. So I get it, but I hate it. Also, there are places like in La Valeta or even in Centro where you're talking $1,000 or $1,500 to rent an apartment. I even saw someone rent a room, not an apartment, just a room in an apartment for $1,700 for the month of December. Now, I know December and January are a lot more expensive than the rest of the year because it's high season, even in the current situation, but that is just bonkers. And again, like I said, mind-blowing. So like, rent is really expensive, taxis are really expensive, drinks and food at the beach clubs are really expensive, entrance to the beach clubs are really expensive. And then the restaurants on beach road, some of them are going to cost you $50 or $60 just for a lunch or just for dinner. Yes, the food is good, I'll talk about that in my other video, but these prices really are crazy. Okay, another thing I want to talk about, I'm smiling yet I'm like talking about things I don't like. I know it's a bit confusing, but hear me out, hear me out. Another thing I do not like, and a big problem with Tulum, is the traffic. You think it's this sort of like beach town paradise, and it's just all this beautiful white sand, and you know, people are cycling everywhere. It's not like that. Yeah, a few people are cycling, and you can cycle from town to the beach. It can take you anywhere from, say, 30 minutes up to an hour if you're going right down to the end of the beach road. But if you were in a taxi, the traffic is insane, especially at the weekends and even more so at nighttime. So sometimes if you were going from town to one of the beach clubs quite far down the beach road, like even Dilek or La Zebra or Nomade, you're talking an hour stuck in traffic. It's about 5 kilometers the distance, yet it could take you an hour to get there because of the traffic. There are crazy potholes. The road is essentially falling apart, but apparently the government say they don't own the road, and the hotels don't own the road. I don't know who owns the road in Tulum, the beach road, but there's a lot of conflict over who owns the road, and because they don't really know who owns it and the government doesn't own it, they say they can't fix it. They can't spend the people's money to fix the road. So the road is never getting fixed. So this is like another issue of ownership in Tulum and people selling off, you know, all these plots along the beach road for these massive hotels and resorts when, you know, there's a lot of problems that need to be fixed. Okay, so we talked about how expensive it is, we talked about the traffic, we talked about the taxis, we talked about rent, and the next thing I want to talk about is the Wi-Fi. Now, I did get warned before moving to Tulum that the Wi-Fi wouldn't be good, and I accepted that. So for me, it wasn't a huge problem. But I think if you're going to be paying $1,500 or $2,000 to stay in an apartment, there should at least be good Wi-Fi. I mean, it should just be a requirement. And a lot of people that are moving to Tulum right now are digital nomads, people working online, and they're finding it impossible to get the Wi-Fi that they need. So in the apartment we booked, it would take me about 5 or 6 hours to upload one of these YouTube videos, which is just bonkers. And yeah, you can sign up to go to some of the co-working spaces, or you can get a day pass. You know, that could cost you $20 or $30 just to go into this co-working space to upload a video on the internet. Like, I'm not going to pay $20 or $30 for that. People do warn you. It's in all the expat groups, and I'm just warning you again right now that one of the biggest problems with Tulum is the Wi-Fi. So in all the apartments in Centro, the Wi-Fi is very bad. The odd time you will find a hotel or an apartment, maybe in El Diazama, with very fast Wi-Fi, but once you get to the beach road, even the reception on your phone will not work. So most of the way along the beach road, and especially on the public beach, you will not be able to get reception on your phone. So, you know, this is one of the busiest tourist destinations in Mexico, and yet you will not be able to get reception at the beach road. Mind blown. Okay, another thing that I think is a problem with Tulum that a lot of people aren't admitting and aren't talking about, and that is the drugs and the violence, and they kind of go together. So my first month, or my first 2 months living in Tulum, there was almost a shooting in Tulum every week. And I'm not talking like a shooting way outside of town or a shooting someplace that tourists don't go to. I'm talking about in main tourist spots in Tulum. So there is one street, we call it Bar Street, and it is where Batiz is. It's a big bar that a lot of people go to, and there's live music. And I would say there was about 2 or 3 shootings on that street, with people actually dying, like people getting shot dead on this street, in front of tourists, in front of locals, in front of everyone, at about 11:30 p.m. on this street, you know, and then the bar would close down maybe for 24 hours, and then 24 hours later the bar would reopen. There was another really large shooting on the beach road at a club called Vagaloom, and I think 2 or 3 people died in that shooting, and that was actually inside of a beach club full of tourists on Beach Road. So I think a lot of people say like, oh well, you know, tourists didn't get shot, and yeah, they didn't, but it's still bad. There was still a shooting almost every week for my first month in Tulum. So I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure, I'm like 100% sure all of this is drugs related. And I don't know much about the drug scene in Tulum, but I'm pretty sure there's a very big drug scene there. It's at all of the parties. They're selling it on all of the streets. As you walk down the main bar street in Tulum, they're going to be like marijuana, cocaine, LSD, whatever you want, they're going to sell it to you. And I really have not been to very many places in the world where they just openly sell you drugs on the street. It's the same on Beach Road. You could be sitting at a bar and this super cool girl would just come up like, oh hey, how's it going? Like, you having a good night? And then she'd be like, do you want to buy some cocaine? You want to buy some marijuana? Like, not even whispering it. And the barman would just be right there no one seems to care. So, I mean, this drugs problem is half caused by the people selling it, but also half caused by the type of people that go there and buy these drugs and cause all of these problems. So you really just can't go to Tulum and not recognize there are a lot of problems there. Okay, one of the last things I want to talk about when I'm talking about the problem with Tulum and the things I don't like about Tulum, and that is tipping. Now, obviously tipping is everywhere in Mexico because I think it has such a large amount of people coming from America, and obviously there's a huge tipping culture in America and in Canada. And while I don't outright have a problem with tipping, I do have a problem with people that try to rip you off, and there are a lot of them in Tulum. So often you will get your bill and they will kind of have the service charge, which is the tip, 15 or 20% included, but they won't tell you. So you'll get maybe a beer for 40 pesos and they'll try and charge you 50 pesos, and then they'll actually ask for a tip on top of that. So it's like they're charging you a service charge and they're trying to get a tip out of you. And a lot of places in Tulum are like that, mainly the more expensive places, and I really feel like it is such a scam and such a rip-off. I don't mind tipping, but I want to be able to choose how much money I'm going to tip, how much money I'm going to leave for the waiter, depending on how good the service was. I certainly do not want to pay a tip twice. This mostly happened at the beach clubs, I will admit, and many times it made me so angry, where you'd be paying like $15 for a cocktail, you're leaving like $4 or $5 tip because they've already written it on the receipt, and then they ask for more money when you're leaving, like another tip. So definitely the whole tipping culture and the rip-off and the scamming drives me crazy. Now, one last thing, and this isn't just Tulum, this is everywhere, but I really encountered it with the ATMs in Tulum, and that is when you're getting money out, you have to be so careful and always decline the conversion. So many of the banks in Tulum, and maybe this is everywhere in Mexico, but many of the banks in Tulum will put a 5 to 7% markup on the currency conversion. So if you're taking out, say, the equivalent of €100, they'll actually try and charge you like 110 or 120 euro to take out that €100. Whereas if you decline the transaction or decline the conversion, which a lot of people don't know about, they just see it, oh yeah, it's $120, cool, except no. Always decline the conversion, and then your own bank at home will just convert it whatever is the current market rate, and you will get a lot more pesos for your dollar or a lot more pesos for your euro. Now, like I said, I think that might be everywhere in Mexico, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the ATMs in Tulum probably rip people off way more than the ATMs anywhere. Okay, one more thing that I believe is a problem with Tulum, and this is obviously related to everything being really expensive, but a lot of the activities there are so expensive, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like if you wanted to go stand-up paddleboarding, some of the people that charge for these half-day trips are charging like 100 to 120 US dollars to go stand-up paddleboarding. You can go stand-up paddleboarding in Ireland for like $20. That's to like rent a board and go out by yourself. Maybe maximum 30 or 40 if you were doing like a half-day stand-up paddleboarding trip. Maximum 50 if it was like a full-day trip when you're going off and doing really cool things. But charging over $100 just to go out on a stand-up paddleboard that's not even motorized, you know, that doesn't even really cost that much money, is just mind-blowing. So I really do think there are some activities and some events in Tulum that charge so much money when they really do not need to. So that is it. That is my problem. That is the problem with Tulum. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have encountered any of these things while in Tulum, or maybe you've encountered other things that have driven you crazy. Do leave a comment below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and think about subscribing to my channel for more Mexico travel videos.